Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to another indie book review. And this time I get to go back to one of my favorite genres that I get for review so rarely, and that is sci-fi. So today I am reviewing Dakiti by EJ Fisch. The author described this to me as military sci-fi with some space opera elements, and I am just a sucker for space operas, so of course I said yes. This revolves around a spec ops team made of aliens called Haphasians. I believe that's how that's pronounced. They're basically humanoid, maybe, weird colored eyes and bigger and stronger than humans, and like they only eat every other day because they have two stomachs or whatever. But basically humanoid, you don't need to have that deep a description. And it revolves around this man called Araska, who has recently lost his team and so is sent to work with a new team to fight what are basically space terrorists. And the problem is that he's still struggling from the death of his brother. His brother was accused of a crime he did not commit and was executed by assassination from a government agent. Now, Araska managed to prove that his brother was innocent after the fact, but it didn't really do much. And now he found out that the leader of the new team he is working with to fight the space terrorists is the same woman that pulled the trigger. So it kind of creates this interesting dynamic of Ziva wasn't technically committing murder because she was following through on a government order, but also she was the one that pulled the trigger that killed an innocent man. So it's really interesting dynamic that I wish had been a little bit investigated more, but it definitely creates an interesting dynamic between the two of them because while Ziva is a very effective leader, Araska wants to kill her for what she did to his brother. And basically the only reason he doesn't is because the space terrorists, a group called Solaris, are just more important right now. So he's basically like, okay, I'll kill her later. And that created a very fun dynamic, and also pretty sure there was sexual tension there, but always good fun. I really like the idea of Ziva's character, our assassin and all-around hard ass. She is very walled off and strong and confident in her abilities, but with some deep, dark secrets, and she doesn't really play well with others or suffer fools easily. The only thing is that you don't really get to see a lot of her character play out immediately, especially in the beginning of the book, maybe the first half even. Any information you have about Ziva, you were basically told. Araska is told by other members of the HSP, which I forget exactly what that stands for, Haphasian something. He's basically told that she's really good at her job and she's, a strong leader and is basically feared. And then a member of Ziva's team tells Araska, oh, but she has this secret soft side or whatever. It's a lot of being told who she is. And I'm never the biggest fan of that in books because I want to see their actions and how that play out. And of course, in this instance, because she's so aloof and walled off and secretive, she's not gonna tell you who she is. And even then, when a character tells you who they are, it's like, you can't necessarily trust that either. But later on, as things move on, you start to see what they're talking about come through. The best part of the book for me was the last third, I think. If you really sit down and work it out, it probably is at least a third, if not more, of the book. And that revolves around this rescue mission in a medical facility called Dakiti, hence the title, wherein they have to rescue the governor of this other human colony that's been kidnapped while on his way to do diplomatic whatever with their people. So that's a lot of fun, and it took up a really big portion of the book, but that is to the book's credit. In these kind of books, in a military sci-fi, you want a heavy emphasis on the action and the plasma guns shooting at each other and the fighting and the explosions and that all that kind of thing. So that it takes up so much of the quote-unquote runtime isn't a bad thing. I very much enjoyed that. And you actually get to see a lot more of Ziva's personality play out, because she's definitely one of those where when push comes to shove, she does have the abilities and she's very confident in herself. And yes, she does have this softer side. I just wish I could have seen that ahead of time rather than being told it in exposition. She has a team with Araska. There's 2 other people, Zinni and Skeet. And yes, we did double down on the alien names. I thought it was funny that, like, one of our lone human characters, there's like 3 human characters in the entire story, and they have names like Jaden compared to like Ziva and Araska and Skeet and Zinni. So I appreciated that the group is not quite to the extent, at least for me, that I would call a found family. I definitely think the book wants you to see them that way because, like, Zinni and Skeet will say things like, all right, let's do it, brother, and that kind of thing. So I think it's maybe supposed to be there. I didn't necessarily feel it. That doesn't mean that it was disjointed. They came across to me like a military unit, essentially. Like, maybe not they hadn't moved past the military unit to family for me. Like, I didn't believe that if one of them got, transferred to another group that it would, like, devastate them. But that might change moving forward. This is a series. I checked, and there's actually a decent number of books out, and then also I think, like, a spin-off series about Ziva's past, if I was looking through Amazon and reading them correctly. But we might see the found family come through a little bit more a little bit later. But in this case, it was really about Araska and Ziva's relationship and how they had good reason to hate each other, and they kind of have to work together because there's a bigger bad on the line, and things that get revealed of Ziva's past that cause even further, like, conflict. It was very nice in that respect. There was a traitor, like any good, dramatic, military-esque story. There was, you find out pretty soon that there's a mole in the mist, and I was surprised by how quickly they tell you who it is. Like they drop the name fairly early on, and I was like, you're not even gonna make me work for it? You're not even gonna, like, toss in a red herring real quick? Like, nope. But I guess the tension of that is probably in the fact that you know who it is. So when other characters are, like, talking to that person like they're a friend, you're like, no, don't do it. So that was it was kind of nice, although I'm usually more of a fan of, I like the traitor to be revealed later on, but it was very nice. I like that Araska, while he hates Ziva for what she did, he never doubts her abilities, and he's never, like, threatened in his masculinity that she is so strong. And I don't know if Ephesians have really any kind of gendered whatever. It doesn't seem that they do. Like, there's not the standard women are inherently weaker mindset with them. So I definitely liked that, how, Ziva could save him, and he wasn't like, oh, how can a woman save me? He was more annoyed that, like, the woman that assassinated his brother saved him, which is valid. So I appreciated that. I gave it 4 stars. Had to knock one off because the jump to get to the actual rescue in Dakiti was a little bit iffy. I would have liked one smaller mission, whatever, reconnaissance, whatever, between the getting the assignments and the big mission, just to kind of build up that team a little bit more, getting to see people in action that's not, regular investigation or maybe an ambush or whatever, like getting to see them make the plan, fulfill the plan, and get on the other side. Maybe you could have set something up that is then, like, has a payoff later on, like that kind of thing. But in general, I really enjoyed it. This is definitely more military sci-fi than space opera. So if you're, like, hardcore only space operas, this probably isn't the one for you. You probably need to like a little bit more of the military side to really enjoy this one. But I did. And EJ, if you're up for it, I would love to keep reading it. And hopefully I can keep reading review books in general, because low-key been struggling lately. So if you are an indie author and you would like a review like this one, please email me. I will have my email down in the description below. I will also have my review policy down there. Please give that a read through. It answers a lot of questions and saves us a lot of time. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.